Hi, everyone. I'm Nicholas Pappas, and welcome to ENG 190, the graphic novel. Over the next 5 weeks, we'll read 4 graphic novels alongside Scott McCloud's Understanding Comics, which will give us the vocabulary to talk about how the medium works. This particular video walks you through the orientation module, which is where you'll spend the first couple days of the course. So just a brief overview to give you a bigger picture of the course. You can see that the course has, in addition to the orientation module, 4 different modules, one for each of the 4 graphic novels, and then a final module, which has to do with our final portfolio. This information is also explained in the syllabus, which I'll show you also in a second. So now I'm just going to click in to the orientation module so you see how that works. The first thing you'll see in each module is a welcome message that will kind of explain, in this case, it's more about explaining the course. In other modules, it will just explain what we're going to do during that module. So for the orientation, we have that welcome message. We have an overview of what a graphic novel is. So this gives you a brief introduction to what graphic novels actually are, how the medium has developed, and how the 4 books we'll read fit into that bigger picture. So there's no assignment for this one either. Then we have the syllabus, which you should read all of it. Pay particular attention to the course structure section, which explains the weekly rhythm. The grading breakdown may also be helpful to you. And then you will engage directly with the syllabus in the next thing here, which is our first real assignment. Now, one thing I should note is that we will use Perusall for a number of assignments in this course. After this orientation module, it's mainly going to be to annotate the Understanding Comics text that we're using. But for this week is the syllabus review assignment, and you can read the directions here. You're going to annotate the syllabus with 4 annotations. They can be original, or they can be responses to other students. So the way that the system works is it will count both of those. So you might have 2 original ones and 2 responses or something like that. And then for this one, we're actually going to do a syllabus quiz. So if I click into this, let's see if this works. Hopefully you'll see this screen as well. Okay, gives me a welcome message. It gives me some information on that. It's probably worth reading this when you go into it, so it lets you know a little bit about what Perusall is, how it works. And then we have the syllabus. You have the link within Blackboard, but it's also here. And this is where you can annotate. And then you see some instructions on the side. And then to annotate, you really can just say, you should be able to highlight text like this, and then you put a comment on the side, something like testing, and then you can post that comment, and other people will be able to see that. And so you do that, read through it on here, make comments, put questions. You can discuss things also with your peers, your classmates. And then what you'll see, there's actually a second page. Don't forget about that on this one, where you have a quiz. And so that you read through the question, and then you choose the right answer, and then you save it at the end. So that's the syllabus review. Now, the second assignment is actually all about just how to use Perusall and make good comments. So I was kind of debating which one should go first, but I stuck with the syllabus review first, just so you get a sense of what it is. I think you'll have enough sense of how comments work to be able to do that. And then you get a little bit more in depth in this assignment that will sort of teach you about Perusall. Then we have the introduce yourself assignment. This is just literally going into the discussion board, posting a brief intro and a brief bio pic. And I provided directions for that here. And so that's one of the required things for this week. And so those three are the things that actually need to be completed. And then we have the Perusall guide, which is a guide that takes you through, well, it talks about how to make good comments in Perusall, but it also specifically talks about the book Understanding Comics. I'll show you what I mean. And basically, I provided some chapter by chapter notes that give you some of the key concepts from each chapter that you'll be looking at. So that's worth reading now, especially before you get into the annotations of Scott McCloud's Understanding Comics next module. And then I've also included the final portfolio directions. You saw that probably at the end of the course. It's the final module. This is the directions for that final piece for the course. Portfolio. I've included it here so you have a sense of what that might look like. So you can kind of scan that, get a sense of it, and you go back to it in more in-depth later. But it's good to know where you're going for that. So that's really the orientation module, which is just working through the items in order. And the whole module is due Tuesday, July 14th by 11:59 p.m. So really those three assignments are due then. So it's a fairly short turnaround from the start of the course, but this is a heavily accelerated course. And so I want you just to be aware of that as we go through this.